Good evening, guys. My name is Afolabi, and it's Political Animals. With me is Mustafa
Yeah,
Junodi. And what we're going to be talking about centers around
we sent you the link. Yeah,
Israel's
goodbye.
Israel's invasion of Rafah city is hotting up now.
Yeah.
So,
So
Mustafa,
welcome
what are your
everybody.
thoughts?
Thank you very much. This is Political Animals. I'm your co-host along with Afolabi. How's everything in Lagos? Is it still hot, Afolabi?
Very, very well. It's getting a bit
It,
cooler. The
it,
rains have started. The rains have
yeah,
started,
it's
so it's
very
a bit
hot in
cooler.
America right now. No matter what side you take, young people in universities are protesting what's happening in Israel. Now, my thing is whether or not what's happening is right or wrong. I respect young people in universities who speak out for what they think is wrong. Also, people who want to support Israel or Palestine. A lot of these young kids are getting beaten up, and it reminds me of the Vietnam War, where citizens started speaking out against what the government is doing, and whether the government is right or wrong, kids are getting beaten on campuses. And it seems as if on campus now, universities in America are not places of speaking your mind and you know what I mean by deliberating.
I
If
understand.
you agree that Israel is right, and I think that they're not, in a university we deliberate, but now there's no deliberating. Policemen are coming with batons and beating our young children, and they're sending our children a message, which is that fascism lives. Fascism doesn't mean when you're wrong, we should say you're right. It means that we don't want you to say your own opinion. So, have you, Afalabi, let me ask you: have you heard about the beatings the kids have been taking on universities?
I had something similar, but right now
Yeah,
my stance on Israel has shifted a bit because I think they are taking it a bit too far.
yeah,
If you really look at it, America is spending a ton of their budget financing Israel's war, and America has a lot of internal issues themselves. Now they've taken a step back to say they're not going to give Israel any logistic support anymore as long as they go and invade Rafah City. So they are beginning
yes.
to understand that it really doesn't make sense
So here's my
anymore.
interpretation. So
Look,
it's
can I say? Oh, sorry.
very
What
quickly,
Israel
quickly.
wants to do? Sorry, what Israel wants to do
Yeah.
is to defeat Hamas. And I have a little story. In 1956, during an Israeli Gaza massacre, a
Hmm.
9-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 15-year-old boy hid amongst the dead bodies of their families to escape Israeli death squads. Those three kids went on to form Hamas. So my question is, how many of such kids is this war creating?
Okay, so here's the thing, Kule. So what you're saying is very important because a
If
lot
we
of terror.
dismiss Hamas, there'll be Hamas 3.0. Then there'll
Yeah,
be Avengers of
so
Hamas.
you
Then
you
there'll
bring
be
up two
That's my
questions.
Osama
point.
Hamas.
This aggression
Uh,
does not solve the problem in any way.
It will
It just
make
but
it
creates more
worse. You're
hatred.
pouring kerosene on the problem, on the
but can I say
fire.
something? So Kule, we also have to ask ourselves which side is the terrorist. So let's go back to the Hamas thing. The roots of Palestine Israel division was by the British, who like to separate countries. So my argument is that Israel is not a legitimate country, nor is Palestine. This was an area where these people were living, and the British decided to name it something, the same way they named Nigeria. First thing I want to say is that Hamas, as far as I'm concerned, arose out of desperation because individuals were being attacked by white settlers from Europe who call themselves Jewish, Zionists. So my thing is, I'm not saying Hamas is correct, but I'm saying it's just like Haiti. Are they a liberation movement or are they terrorists or is it somewhere in between? What do you think, Kunle? Yeah.
It's not a question. It's actually quite disgusting. It's white supremacy, fascist, apartheid, evil, despicable government.
I think so. And so what I'm saying is that Hamas is a resistance movement against.
Hamas is based pretty much like the Warsaw Ghetto. If anybody
Yeah.
knows about World War II and the
Oh
Warsaw
yeah, World War
Ghetto,
II with
that's
the
almost
Israel.
exactly what's
Yeah,
going on in Gaza Strip right now.
yeah,
In the
and
Warsaw
also
Ghetto, they were being starved, and they had an uprising, and they fought back.
yeah,
They were eventually destroyed because the Russians refused to enter, but that's another story. But
yeah,
basically, what happened in the Warsaw Ghetto is basically what's happening to them right
yeah.
now. And what even more disgusting is that 15,000 children were killed but I noticed that the CNN and Sky were only shocked when 7 white aid workers were killed. That tells you
Yes,
a lot
but
about
also,
the
Kule, let's
state of
remember,
value of
Kule, let's
humanity
remember,
and
let's
race
remember
in
who
this
killed.
entire thing, which is based on the history of
So Kule,
slavery.
who's the irony?
and
Here's the
back to-
irony. The aid workers were helping Palestinians, and who killed them? Israel.
Do you know that
Israel killed them.
1,100
They killed the white aid
soldiers,
workers. Yeah.
1,100 Israelis were killed on October 7th. 400 of them were soldiers who were killed by Hamas. 600,
And some of them were crossfire between Hamas and
no, not
Israel.
even crossfire. 600 of them were killed by Israel using what they call the Hannibal Protocol, which allows them to kill their own civilians.
Yeah,
The
to
total
kill the
number
enemy.
of people killed were 1,100.
Yeah.
400 were Israeli soldiers. 600 and X were killed by fire. So when you hear about people, when they went in, because you have to look at this, when Hamas went into made the incursion, they did not have flamethrowers. They did not have any kind of equipment to burn down houses. They did not have incendiaries.
No, they were going after soldiers.
Arms.
They were going after soldiers. Yeah.
Yes. They did not have flamethrowers. They did not come with flamethrowers. All the buildings that were destroyed by fire were destroyed by Israeli tanks or helicopters. Even the Israeli newspaper Hertz said this. The Israeli army has actually admitted this, but they still turn around in public and continue telling the lie that it was a horrific act. It was this, it was that. When Germany invaded Poland, the first thing they had to do was say Poland attacked them. They killed some soldiers, dressed them up in the uniforms of dead Germans, and put them before them.
Yes.
When you start calling human beings animals, then you have made a mandate for murder.
Yeah, I was going to say, and this is not a lie, guys. I want you to listen to this. In Israel, they teach young kids that Palestinians are animals. That's why it's the same thing if during Salah or during Eid festival in Nigeria, when we kill the ram and the goat, we don't cry because it's an animal. Same thing with Israel.
It's like we're caught in this dystopian world from the 50s and 60s that we thought we had left behind that has suddenly appeared again. It's
still here. It's still here. Kule, it never left. Kule, it never left. It never left. It never left. Iraq had nothing to do with September 11th. The U.S. trumped up lies about Iraq. Then they went to Fallujah and raped women and killed them, cut their stomachs open. It never left. It's just that now the media, because we have TikTok and everything, this has always been here. That's why I say the world is this topic right now.
It was concealed because not just because of TikTok. It was concealed. You couldn't see it. Now we have technology.
Yes, it was made up.
It started with the beating of that black man.
George Floyd.
Something King. What's his name?
Oh, yeah, Rodney King.
That was the first time that we now realize we had entered a time where you cannot hide and get away with your crimes. And it was the first thing that we noticed about race-related crimes being caught on camera. And now we are catching genocides on camera. And this is exposing what was hidden before.
And my thing is that what makes me sad, what makes me sad is that despite
they have doubled down, they have not shown shame, but
they're actually becoming more violent. The more that we realize how violent they are. These guys are fascist. And I'm going to go on record. The United States government is fascist because it's continually giving money to these guys. We're not saying that you need to help Hamas. Until Israel needs to stop. And what Afolabi said is true. Biden said that if Israel doesn't stop, if they attack Rafah, he's going to cut funding for military. He just signed $95 billion, so he's a liar. Number two,
Kennedy wanted to make groups like AIPAC be foreign lobby groups to be labeled, and he was killed for it.
Yeah, and also in the U.S., they said that lobby groups stand as speech. No, a human being is only speech. And Kule, you're a lawyer. A non-human being cannot be speech. What do you think? Yeah.
America is controlled by AIPAC. It's actually controlled by an Israeli lobby that pays almost all of most of its senators on both sides of the aisle. And I thought, there's a third candidate coming in America, but he too is also bought and paid
Kennedy.
Yeah, Kennedy is also bought and paid for by AIPAC, put a ribbon on him. So he's not a third option. He calls himself a third option. He isn't. There is a third option out there that they're looking at.
Here's the third option. It's Cornel West, the black guy, Cornel West. He's a third option, but he's not. He doesn't stand a chance of winning here.
Yes, I discussed America because it's the most powerful country in the world, and it can do good. It can also do evil if it is an unchecked evil. So right now, it is at a war with itself. The United Nations, all these things that we are looking at, we know there's a genocide. So who's on trial? The genocide issue isn't on trial. What's on trial are the institutions. Are they going to do what they're supposed to do? And if they don't, they will lose all credibility.
Okay, but Kule, South Africa took Israel to court, and the lawyers, I mean, the court said there is clear indication that there's a high likelihood of genocide, and still they're doing nothing. Can you comment? Because you're the lawyer. Can you comment?
They're not doing nothing. They've paused arms shipments. America sent an information to the Senate House to look at that it is possible that America is supplying weapons that might be used.
Okay, so now because of the pressure,
and because of that, he's had a U-turn, and he's told them that if they enter Rafah, he's not going to give them any more military
Okay,
support.
thank you guys. See, you guys are more balanced than me. I'm a political animal, and I never want to give America credit. But I think the reason they're doing this is because right now it's clear they don't want to go down into history as being Nazis, and history will judge them.
They're bought and paid for by AIPAC. Also, a group of senators wrote to the ICC the judges, and they threatened them that if you vote that Netanyahu has committed war crimes, we're going to sanction you and your families, mafia style.
Oh, yeah. But I think that
it was signed by people like Mitch McConnell and all sorts of people on both sides of the aisle.
But I think that because the pressure is so much now, they now say, you know how you say in Nigeria, you don't do. You guys need to stop.
And the far-right leader, Ben Gvir, saying that...
Ben Gvir is actually more radical than Netanyahu. He's more radical.
Hamas love Biden.
No, and also I think Ben Gvir has more power than Netanyahu. I think so.
He doesn't have more power. He just holds enough of a base that if he walks away, Netanyahu's government will fall.
Well, that's almost the same thing because it's a coalition government. Yeah.
But not that he is super powerful. He's not.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that Netanyahu is like Biden, in which whether or not he agrees with what's happening, he's strategic and he's just doing what he has to do to keep power.
Yeah, but Ben Gvir is in the Knesset for Netanyahu's strength. Sorry,
but Ben Gvir, to me, he's doing this for fun. That's all I can say. This is what he likes.
This is not fun. This is not fun. This is something that they strongly believe in. They've been indoctrinated with this. They've been raised to believe this. They've been educated like this for generations.
Thank you for your thoughts, because I'm underestimating you. Okay, let me know. So it's ideological and they believe in it. So what are your thoughts? Thank you, Kunle, because you made some good points. Because I'm thinking, this guy is just hateful and it's racism. But no, they believe that they're on the side of God. What do you think?
Yeah. Biden's caught in a rock and a hard place now. He's now Israel and his people.
I don't think Biden even knows what's going on. But what do you? I think Afolabi, what are your thoughts? What's your view on everything?
Biden is just a big hypocrite. Says he's not sending logistic support in terms of arms to support Israel, yet their Iron Dome defense system, he keeps helping them to secure it.
That's fine. I don't mind Iron Dome. Iron Dome is okay. Iron Dome is defensive. It's not offensive. You want to protect yourself from being killed. That's fine.
It's still logistic support, one way or the other. If you look
can I say one thing, Kule?
When it's offensive weapons.
Kule, very clearly. So
and then if you look at how much Israel is spending on a daily basis, about $200 million, a chunk of that is coming
Israel's
from
not
the US.
Spending it. Falabi, Israel's not spending it. I am. I go to work and my money goes to the government of the US and it goes to Israel.
12 billion a year of your money goes to Israel.
No, they just signed a bill for 95 billion to give Israel and I said Croatia, Ukraine. So very quickly, I want to say one thing. The Iron Dome has been proven to not be good. Iran sent some missiles towards Israel and they told America what time they'll do it. It was just a demonstration, but they demonstrated that they can overpower it if they want to. But they're being strategic because they have agreements with China and Russia, and they want to focus on their economics rather than cause a world war. But Israel is not safe. Kunle, continue.
Yes. The attack by Iran, the retaliation for the attack on their consulate, it was very well measured. When you use a $10,000 missile to shoot down a $1 million missile to shoot down a $10,000 missile, and you end up spending $1.5 billion.
Oh yes, Israel. So
in
Israel
one
spent
night.
1 billion. They spent
Look
1 billion.
put it in perspective. The whole of Gaza being destroyed is 18 billion, and that was 300 cheap missiles. What if tomorrow they have 600 or 3,000 or 30,000?
Yeah.
You know, and then they send 30,000 cheap missiles, and then right behind them they send the hypersonics as soon as they've run out of
Okay, so
money.
Kule, two things. Thank you. So Kule, two things. The U.S. doesn't have the technology to stop hypersonic missiles, which Iran has, and Russia has in China. Second thing, Iran is using drones, which are very less expensive. Israel drained 1 billion of its money to shoot down Iran's missiles.
$1.5 billion.
That was basically
$500 million. That's
that was basically an economic sanction, and also it was a message. Iran has thousands more, which means that if they go to war with Israel within 3 days, Israel will have used up all of its money, and the U.S. will have to pump more money, and the U.S. economy will falter. So this is the message for everybody in America: keep on voting for Biden and this bullshit. Your children are here starving in America.
Do you know what's happened in
Hold on, your children are here starving in America because you're spending money on a genocidal, freakish war. Continue, Kunle. Yeah.
I was going to say what's happening in warfare is that the aircraft carrier is beginning to become what the battleship was in World War II.
Obsolete.
Because the technology now is cheap. Iran and Yemen, they're not using old technology. They're using cheap technology.
Which is devastating. It's devastating.
You can send over 30,000 drones, and the people piloting them could be in a bunker somewhere, sipping on a Coke and eating them.
And Kule, last thing.
Like a video game.
Also, last thing. Everybody knows Iran has logistical electronic warfare support from its scientists in Russia. U.S. is behind in there. And even if you have weapons and stuff, once Russia and Iran and China block you with electrical warfare and shut down your systems, it's useless. Continue. Yeah.
And gone are the days where you can bully anybody with the threat of nuclear. Now every big boy has a nuclear weapon now.
Yeah,
even Iran.
But here's the scary thing. I think that white supremacy will bring us to a nuclear war because they don't want to see China and Russia and African countries rise. So I think they're willing to take down the whole world. What do you think, Kunle? Yeah.
You know, we're moving to a world where like I said, people sit in air-conditioned bunkers playing the drone, which is doing, and the advantage is one, the plane can go further and carry more ammunition because there's no human being in there. The pilot is not facing G-forces, doesn't need to be an athlete, so the plane can be far more effective, and it's cheaper to build these sort of things, and they have them, and then you will be in the bunker. Fewer casualties. It's better in every way. It makes the idea of putting a human being in a plane to risk his life a waste of money.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Technology is great, but it's too expensive to sustain.
Also, the American economy is based on
an enemy.
The economy of America is based on
Operation Desert Storm and Iran and Iraq.
Also, to make drones cheaply, you have to have a manufacturing base. The U.S. is no longer an industrial country. It only makes high-grade weapons, which are too expensive. And also, 80% of the money that the U.S. spends on weapons manufacturers goes to the CEOs. So it's not an efficient army also. They're not actually making weapons. They're putting money to their pocket. Yeah. Go ahead.
Winston Churchill once said that the Americans will always do the right thing when they've tried everything else. And I believe that at the end of the day, we'll get round to it. They're going to get it right.
Yeah, and I agree.
They're going to stop Israel from doing what's
going on. So here's
a
positive message.
And you know the painful thing? The painful thing is, and when they stop Israel, they're going to get a handshake like they've done something very good. Like, oh, well done.
Oh, yeah, they'll say we stopped it. Yeah.
Thanks for not killing everyone anymore. You're so nice.
But
so it's very clear that
the truth of the matter is Israel cannot do it alone without the support, financial support of America.
Falabi, can I say something?
They found 7 war graves with almost 1,000 people in them, men, women, and children, handcuffed behind their backs and shot in the head, execution style.
Okay, so Falabi, let me say something.
Those are war crimes.
So Falabi, let me say something. Everything that Israel's doing,
and the victims were the patients. They weren't even combatants. They were patients and medics.
No, patients and doctors. They were killing the doctors too. So Falabi and Kunle, here's what I have to say.
And the patients.
So NATO countries
have been there even before the war started.
Okay, so you guys, NATO countries, the U.S., Canada, and Britain. Every time a missile kills a Palestinian kid, there are generals in the U.S. and logistical satellite support from from Australia and Britain, which goes ahead with it. So not only are they giving them weapons, they're providing them logistical supports, which is why I say they are charlatans. They know what they are doing. Can they continue? Yeah.
Yes, I mean every single child is a human being, man, woman, and child in Palestine is on a database.
And also, no matter what Israel does, they have to have the go-ahead of
the truth
US.
of what's going on. They know what they're doing.
No, they're trying to depopulate Palestine, and hopefully they can go to Egypt. But Egypt is not letting them cross the border. And
the thing is, the good thing is that even if your governments are evil, people aren't evil. American people aren't evil. Germans aren't evil.
Yeah.
Dutch aren't evil. English aren't. The people know what's going on, and they're kicking against it, and they are forcing their government to do the right thing.
Kool-Aid, can I say one thing?
Can I say one thing, Kool-Aid? The guys that called the shots in Hamas are not really living in Gaza Strip.
Yeah, but Kool-Aid, I don't want you to. I mean, Afolabi, I don't want you to paint Hamas as a terrorist organization, though.
No, that's not what I'm saying. The guys that really run Hamas live
No, they're in tunnels. They're in tunnels.
Yeah. They live in Turkey.
And also they're in tunnels.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But what I wanted to say was that we don't want to make the mistake of painting Hamas as a terrorist organization. Hamas, here's the reason.
What they did on October 7th was a terrorist act. I will not forgive that.
Okay, but Kool-Aid,
what happened by the IDF was also a terrorist
can I say something?
The problem is that the two have to be condemned.
Okay, Kool-Aid, here's my point. Before Hamas struck Israel on October the 7th, Israel had been encroaching into Gaza and taking more land. Settlers were taking more and more land and killing children. So I don't call it a terrorist act. I call it a counter strike because they were fed up, because Israel keeps on taking more and decreasing the border. They kept on encroaching. And that's why Hamas attacked, because Israel was continually taking more and more land within there. And then they locked the gates. And in Palestine, if you're a Palestinian person, you still have to report to Israel what you do and everything. And you can't even fish. So my thing is that to me, the act that Hamas did wasn't terrorism; it was an act of war because Israel was continually diminishing Palestinian borders.
I understand and I agree 100% with what you're saying. The point, what I'm saying is this has to end at some point.
Oh yeah, it has to end.
In order for this to have to end, you have to try to see it from whatever view the Israelis have, however deluded it may be. So long as they're not lying to themselves. Who know the truth. If they're genuinely being deceived and they genuinely don't know the truth, you have to say that they believe that what Hamas did on October 7th was a terrorist act.
Here's what I would say.
Here's what I would say. I agree with you. Everything you said. I don't dispute it. Yes, it's sort of like as if you're trying to affirm.
Okay, so here's what I have to say. Moving forward, what do we need? A two-state solution and keep the borders agreed upon, or a one-state solution? What do we need? Yeah,
I think that in that country now, it's quite clear that America is not going to permit a two-state solution. A one-state solution is simple. Just end apartheid.
And then kind of like South Africa. Yep.
Yes.
And the Israelis will still have power. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. They will have power because they have more economic. So there'll be equal rights.
A one-state solution is the best thing.
Yeah. So I think a one-state solution is the best thing.
But they should stop the aggression, like Kunle rightly mentioned.
On both sides. We need a ceasefire. And China and Russia are fighting for a ceasefire, but Biden keeps on refusing. But now he's going to have to listen.
There was a solution that was proposed recently that Hamas was already celebrating before Israel started pounding Rafah city again. I don't know if it's a solution that favors Israel anyway.
Those peace talks are a ruse, man. They're just a waste of time. They're going to go into Rafah. The peace talks are a ruse to just drag everybody and distract.
Kool-Aid, they've already started. Kool-Aid, I saw a picture. I saw a picture of children in Rafah, and their eyes were out of their head, and the eyes look like toys. They've already started. They've started the pre-bombing already.
They've blocked food and aid from entering. The only access route for food and aid has been
blocked. And also they're killing Americans who try to bring aid to. That's those 7 guys or foreigners. Israel is also killing them. So this goes to show you the power that AIPAC has. You can kill American citizens, and America will say nothing about it because AIPAC rules America. You guys,
but America is not. America is still a democracy, and I think that the democracy
is just doing all this
is working
in his country.
The wheels of democratic rule in America are working very slowly. You can see how what happens is the government of the people, and the people are putting too much pressure Fortunately, it came in an election year. They're putting too much pressure on their leaders.
I hope you're right.
To do
Okay, but
what they
Kunle, can I ask
don't
you a
want to
question?
do.
Can you
Biden
call a
doesn't want to
country,
stop what he's doing.
Kunle, can we
He's
call a country
forced.
democratic? Can we call a country democratic in which lobbyists can pay the politicians, and also in which the popular vote doesn't determine who wins? They break it down into states. Yeah.
Let me tell you something, a story. In Roman, in
Electoral
the Roman,
college.
in ancient Rome,
Yeah.
in ancient Rome,
It's a
they had
democracy, but
they
it's a
had
weak
group.
democracy. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
They had a plebeian council in
Yeah.
ancient Rome, I think during the time of Caesar. And
Yeah.
when they were in power, they abused that power. They abused it. And when it came time for re-election, they were taken out and they never existed again.
Okay.
And that's the basis of democracy, is that your time is temporal and it's at the whim of the people.
Well, it actually started with supposedly with the Greeks.
The problem is most of us had never heard of AIPAC before October 7th. Let's be honest, I'd never heard of them. Only a few people who read a lot about it, and you tell them that they're wackos and they're conspiracy theorists. They're the ones who knew. Most, even myself, a historian, did not know anything about AIPAC until after October the 7th.
Hey, my dad's a political scientist. I don't think he even knew.
Are learning about. We didn't know. We knew there were gun lobbies for the NRA, but NRA is still American.
Yeah.
But to actually see, this is not even about Gaza anymore. This is about American sovereignty, because it's shown that the government is being controlled by a foreign government. And America has to show that it is not.
Okay, so Kunle, I want to counter very quickly.
Whether Israel is doing the right thing or not.
So Kunle, I want to counter. Kunle, I want to counter a little bit. So Kunle, here's my theory. My theory is that Israel was created by America to take the blame off of America. So I think Israel and AIPAC are actually, Israel is the last outpost for the Western Empire because it's in the Middle East so they can control the oil. So I think Israel actually is an extension of America. So it looks like it's a separate state, but I think it's actually
the same state. America. You have to use the word the West.
The West.
It also applies
okay, so it's the West. So I think Israel. So I think that Israel. So I think Israel.
Australia and New Zealand and all these other colonized.
So my argument is that Israel is actually a Western outpost, and they just say it's a different country to make it look.
So is Canada, so is Australia, so is New Zealand.
Yeah. So this is the Western Empire, and I'm going to say this: the Western Empire will not dissolve, but the Western hegemony is on its way out. Kunle, take us to the bridge.
There are two things that are defeating the West.
BRICS.
They first used Christian values to dominate the world, but then it was those Christian values that's now with William Wilberforce that said, how can you be a Christian and have slavery?
And kill people.
That was where the kickback started. How can you be a Christian and have slavery? Then you had the atheism fight back. But if you notice, atheism never criticizes Judaism. You dare not criticize Judaism.
Well, Judaism is the new mythology. It's the new mythology.
And a Zionist will tell you, I don't believe in God, but this land belongs to me, was given to me by God.
Yeah. And also, Kunle, we want to make sure that I
saw a guy say that, and he said, say that again. And
so Kunle,
said that 3 times.
So Kunle, you're right. We want to distinguish Zionism from Judaism. Judaism is a religion. Zionism is I'm going to use my words carefully. It's an ideological program which is very hateful and destructive.
The problem is the U.S. government. They voted into law that anything that you say against Israel is anti-Semitic and is criminal. If you criticize Israel under U.S. law, it is anti-Semitic and it's criminal. And
okay, so what? So if I
it's all that's so now when they
if I criticize Saudi Arabia, is that anti-Islamic? No, it's not.
The irony of it is that the word Semitic, Arabs are Semites, Zionists are mostly white Christians, Palestinians are more closely related to the Jews than
to the real ones, the Hamitic Jews.
In actual fact, this is another Holocaust of Jews.
It is. It is. And guys, because they're killing, and Palestinians are closer to Jews than they are to Saudi Arabians and people.
And the Nazi party said, always accuse your victim of doing exactly what you are doing. And that is everything that comes from Zionism. Because they are actually killing Jews.
Yeah, they are.
Jesus and was a Palestinian Jew.
Yeah. So Kunle,
Palestine.
I have to go to work in 20 minutes, but you guys, this has been a great thing. But We're going to continue part 2 of this next week. This is a very important, and Kunle, I want to thank you because this is something that's very passionate to you. I remember you told me a couple of weeks ago that it causes you a lot of distress. So take us out and just give
at the end of the day, the most simple thing is it causes me a lot of distress to see human beings do this
anywhere in the world, anywhere in the world
in the 21st century. And then, people say, what about Sudan and Congo? The root of Sudan and Congo is Israel again. What's going on? The French,
Ethiopia too.
The French armed ISIS. The Americans armed the Taliban to fight
Iran.
Not one single Islamic act of terror happened in the West until after the Cold War started.
Yeah, and also Bin Laden was brought up by the U.S. to fight Russia and Afghanistan.
What they did was they armed different extremist groups in the region.
And those groups turn on them.
The minerals, which is what they're doing in Africa, but they're not going for religious groups, they're going for tribes. But it's the same thing that they're doing. So it's not about, and then the propaganda is Muslims are violent. And it's always the Muslims are violent and the Christians believe in a fairy tale. You never hear anything.
Okay, Kule. Abi, Bob Daddy, no violent.
But I believe that I would like to.
Hey, I hope Pop Daddy doesn't know where I live because he's a bad boy. He'll come after me. Go ahead.
I would like to believe that if the Germans, the Mac Daddies of genocide, were able to come back
you're terrible, man.
To become normal human beings, I'd like to believe that Israel can do.
Oh yes, because in Germany, if you do Nazi signs or you say anything anti-Semitic, you go to jail. They've reformed themselves, and Israel needs to do so also.
Yeah, but they still have a far right.
Once they lose the support of the US, I'm sure they will do that.
Oh yeah, it's going to happen. So guys, thank you very much. I have to go to work, but I want to say thank you very much to everyone. And Political Animals are back. Kunle Williams, love what you're doing. I love this initiative. Thank you, Afolabi, who's our producer and works very hard. Kunle, I hate to cut you off. You guys might want to continue if you want, but I have to go to work. So it's your choice. Should we just close here and you guys continue?
I think we'll close here.
We're actually out of time.
Yeah, Kunle said he wants to close here because he wants beer. I got 2 beers. Look, I got 2 beers. I got 2 beers. Hey, you guys, 2-state solution.
Okay.
I got a 6-state solution.
We'll be back. Okay, God bless you, Kunle. God bless you, Afolabi. Thank you guys for all the hard work you do. We'll talk later.
God bless you all.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right.